Salutations readers, welcome back to the Sudan Writer channel. My name is Nkechi, and for today, I'm doing the Jan-uary Book Tag 2024. This book tag was created by Jan from Jan-uary. I will tag her, link her channel down below, and also link her original tag video as well, so that y'all can know all the things regarding the questions and stuff. But this is the third year for this tag, and it's gonna be my second time doing it. And I really like doing this tag. I feel like it's a pretty easy book tag. It's really fun, and there's only 10 questions, so we should be able to get through it kind of quickly. But you know me, I tend to have more than one answer for every one of these questions, as always. So yeah, but let's just honestly just get into it. Question 1. What was the last and first, if you remember, book you read last year? The first book that I read, it was Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. I read it via audio and physical, so it was a hybrid read. I didn't annotate very much of it. It was indeed a convoluted mindfuck of a series, but I loved it. I think I gave this one 4.25 stars. And then the last book I read was The Haunting of Alejandra by V. Castro. This one was a fantasy literary horror, and yeah, I think it was a 2023 release as well, and I read it solely via audio, and I think I give it around a 4.25 as well. So yeah, interesting way to start and end off the year with practically similar ratings. Question 2. What is your first read this year? So my very first read, actually, I read it on my Kindle, and I read an e-arc of An Education in Mouse by S.T. Gibson. This book comes out February 13th, 2024. And yeah, actually, in fact, y'all just know my thoughts about this in the Winter Ween vlog. So it will be in that vlog for all my thoughts and initial reactions. So I'm not going to tell y'all my rating either. Y'all will just have to watch the vlog to find out my full thoughts. Question 3. Share 3 of your reading goals this year. Now, I also have actually a dedicated video regarding goals and stuff. I think it's called Year in Planning My Reading 2024, so it will be in the description, as well as the winter reading vlog as well. But one of my reading goals actually is to read 4 completed series, because last year, I think I've only read 3, and I really want to read more series, but then again, I want to read more series that actually are completed, because I've started series, I didn't have series, and I've continued and caught up on series, but I didn't actually finish because the series I was reading were not finished. So for this year, I plan to actually read more completed series. So hopefully we'll get to reading 4 of them. And then another goal for me as well is to read more translated and nonfiction books. Last year, I didn't really read as much nonfiction. So this year, I want to read more of it. And I definitely really want to be more proactive in reading more translated literature, because there's plenty of translated books out there that I'm like, I really want to try reading these. So the goal for this year is definitely to read way more translated books. And then one more goal is to explore romance, horror, and mysteries. Because last year I did read a considerable enough amount of romance, horror, and mystery. Less on the mystery, but more so on like romance and horror, especially on horror. So like I want to explore more in a horror, more in a romance, and also more in mysteries. Question 4. Share 3 of your most anticipated releases. Now, I already have an anticipated releases video. There's like 40 of them, but I think I actually really have, I have 5 actually anticipated releases for sure that I'm like, oh, I really want to read. So first up is Fae-bound by Sarah Al-Arifi. Comes out January 23rd. So it does come out later on this month. And, I mean, first of all, the cover is just really pretty. But the only thing I really know is there's siblings, I think sisters specifically, and they're elves. And I think they go to the Fae Kingdom. Yeah, that's really all I really know. I just know it's fantasy. It's first in a series, most likely a trilogy. And yeah, I'm a little bit hesitant, though, about it, because I did DNF Sarah Al-Arifi's debut novel, The Final Strife. And that series actually is going to be completed later on this year. But yeah, I didn't really mesh well with The Final Strife. So we'll see about Fae-bound, but it does sound so cool. Then I am looking forward to Immortal Pleasures by V. Castro. Comes out April 16th. Now this one follows a Aztec vampire. And yeah, that's all I really need to know. Fantasy horror. What else is there to know? I mean, look at the cover. The cover is gorgeous, okay? And vampires, yes. And also, I read The Haunting of Alejandra, so I really liked V. Castro's writing. After reading that, I'm so looking forward to Immortal Pleasures. And I'm so thankful to Del Rey, or Valentine, I'm not totally sure which imprint. I was approved for an e-arc of Immortal Pleasures, so I am looking forward to reading it on my Kindle. So yeah, y'all get to know my thoughts on Immortal Pleasures. And another book I'm anticipating is The Brides of High Hill by Niveau. This is the 5th installment in the Singing Hill cycle. Comes out May 7th. We're following the cleric Chi and Almost Brilliant again, but this time I think it's a more gothic story. And we're finding, I think, like foxes and a wedding. So I'm just like, look, whatever each of these installments is about, or whatever kind of story we're following with Guardian Chi and Almost Brilliant, it don't even matter to me. I love this series, so I'm going to read every single one of these installments, and I think there's going to be a total of 8, and I do hope to also get an arc of this as well. Another book I'm anticipating is Blessings by Chukwuebuka Ibe. This one comes out June 4th. I do know in my anticipated releases video, I put in February 22nd. Sorry, y'all, that was the UK release date. The US release date is June 4th. If you don't know, this is going to be a debut novel. It's like queer literary fiction book written by a Nigerian author, and I think it takes place in Nigeria as well, so I'm always here to support Nigerian authors, always, especially Igbo authors as well. So since it's queer too, I must read, and it takes place in Nigeria, also a must. So high chance of me pre-ordering and reading that one. And now the book here that I'm just putting right in here that I did mention in my anticipated releases video, but I wasn't totally sure what it was really about, but I just knew because I was going to read it because of the author. And as a quick amazing, because their 8th book, Literate, it's coming out, y'all. I think it comes out June 18th. Yes, June 18th. And we finally have the cover for it, and it's so colorful and very chaotic, which is pretty much Emezi's brand, basically, at this point. So, if I remember correctly, I think there's some sort of... It takes place in Nigeria. I think we're following 4 people. I think a couple of them are sex workers. And I think there's some sort of underground ring or something that they get stuck in. Something like that. I don't know. It sounds very much lyrical. Very much just... It just sounds really cool. Like, what do I... Do I really need to know much about this? No. Like, I've already read every single one of Quick and Mezi's books in, like, 2022. I've read all of their books. I own all of them. So I'm going to read and pre-order their 8th book. So, like, I don't really totally care what's it about. I just know that I'm going to read it. All right. Question 4. Which goals did you reach or not reach last year? Now, I did make a video regarding, like, my reflections of 2023 video. I think with, like, stats and goals, TBR. So I will also link that video down below as well. But 2 goals for sure that I did not reach was reading 1 classic a month. I really wanted to get into more classics, but there was no way I was going to do a classic a month. I was being a little bit too ambitious. But then a reading challenge, though, that I am kind of disappointed that I did fail in, though, was the 12 Bricks by 12 Friends challenge. And I did do this on my Instagram. But yeah, I've only read, like... I think I've attempted to read half. The other half I didn't touch. So that was a bust. But 2 goals that I did reach last year was reading 75 books. Like, my actual reading goal was to read 75 books. And if you saw that video, I read way more than that. So clearly, I can read way more than 75 books in a year. And also another personal goal for me as well that I achieved was borrowing physical books from my library. Because in 2022, I mainly just borrowed audiobooks instead of, like, going to my local branch and actually, like, placing a hold in a book. Like, I didn't do that at all. I just borrowed audiobooks. It wasn't until 2023 that I'm like, okay, let me start borrowing physical books. And then I borrowed a lot of physical books. Some of them I did end up just returning because I borrowed way too many. And some of them I did read, some of them I DNF. So, yeah, I'm actually really glad that I borrowed physical books from my library. It just really helped me to make sure to actually prioritize what I really wanted to read. Now, I think question number 5. Are there new releases this year you heard of that you have no desire to read? Yeah, there's plenty from authors that I really do not give a damn about. Yeah, honestly, I'm not even going to bother with those names because, like, I don't even mention those authors on this channel at all. But despite the fact that there are 2 books on this list. Now, one of them I did mention in my anticipated releases video, but it was more out of sheer curiosity. But if I don't end up reading that book, I don't think I'm going to be as pressed about it. And the other book on here, I'm just like, I don't know, but we'll see. But I feel like no. So this is like more on the fence than really strictly no desire. But one of those books is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. Like, I know I've seen so many anticipated releases videos and Instagram posts regarding people's anticipated releases. I like seeing The Familiar a lot. And I know Leigh Bardugo, you know, she's a very popular author. Y'all love her. We all do, for especially the Grishaverse, Six of Crows, Alex Stern series. But for me, I've only read Six Across Duology, and while I did love it at the time, I don't know if I really would love it if I were to do a reread of it, and I definitely did not like Ninth House. And I don't think conceptually Ninth House works for me anyways. So I am hesitant with Leigh Bardugo's standalone, because I think this is strictly going to be a standalone finally. I don't know if writing-wise, if Leigh Bardugo's for me, since this is also just adult historical fantasy. I don't know. I think will give it a shot. I think I'll probably just borrow it from my library, and we'll see. But then we finally have a cover, official title, and a release date for the third book in the Legacy of Orisha series, Children of Anguish and Anarchy by Tomi Adeyemi. I think it comes in the middle of June. I think that's also June 18th. So that's the third and final book in this series with like Children of Blood and Bone, Children of Virtue and Vengeance. And to be quite honest, I have been a fan of like Tomi Adeyemi, but like I haven't been really that much a fan in recent years. Mostly because of the fact that I didn't even finish even the second book. I didn't really, like, I really had a great time with Children of Blood and Bone, but I didn't love Children of Virtue and Vengeance. I didn't even finish it. I think I stopped after like 100 pages. And this was like years ago now. So like, I don't know that if I were to reread the first book and actually finish the second book, if I would really be that invested into reading the third and final book. Because I do know, like, slight spoilers that Tomi Adeyemi did go in a certain direction, and I don't know if I really would like that direction, and I don't know if she's going to handle that direction really well, personally. So I don't really think I would read it, despite the fact I've been a fan of her debut. I don't know. I really have no idea if I'm going to bother with this series at all. So, for the most part, no desire, but, like, a part of me is still always curious. And I think we're going to question number 6 here. What are some reading habits you want to change this year, if any? So one thing for sure is using Goodreads. I really hate the freaking app. If y'all know this app crashes all the damn time. So does the website too. But like, it irritates me every single time using that app. So actually, I've already deleted my Goodreads account. So, you know, if y'all been friends and follow me on Goodreads, sorry y'all, that account's gone. That account's been gone since January 1st. Like, bye. And now I'm solely on Storygraph as far as publicly tracking my reading. But you can still, like, you know, follow me on Storygraph, subscribe here on YouTube, follow me on Instagram for my thoughts and stuff. And then also, like I said before, not setting a number reading goal of, like, how many books I want to read. I already achieved my lifelong goal of reading 100 books. I went even over that last year, so, like, what's the point? But then also, I really want to track the number of DNFs in all my wrap-up videos. So, it's like, in a certain amount, I DNF a certain amount of books, or the books I did DNF, I want to keep track of all that. And I really want to thoroughly track the amount of money I spend on books, but also the amount of money I save from using my library. And this is actually something I've been inspired to do because of Bookstagram specifically, because I've been seeing so many Bookstagram posts regarding that. And I'm like, wait, I want to know, I can't really calculate for 2023 because I borrowed so many, like, physical and audiobooks, so, like, I can't figure out that kind of math. That's way too much. So I'm just like, I'll keep track of it for it now, and let's just see where things go for here. But yeah, I really want to just be a lot more conscious with the amount of money I do spend on books, and really to see how much money you actually save from your library. Because now that I have a Kindle, I can actually start borrowing ebooks. So I got the physical, I got audio, and I got ebooks that I have available to me. So, like, you know, I feel like I'm going to be saving a lot of money from, like, using my library. I want to know the numerical number, personally. So now, question number, I think, 7. Are there any adaptations you're excited about? So, I'm not really someone who really follows through regarding book to film or book to TV adaptations, honestly. So the films and TV that I am looking forward to, because there are 10, well, there's some, mostly adaptations, but for others they're really inspired by. Just take it as it is, okay, y'all? It's a little bit of a stretch here, but I am looking forward to watching The Boy and the Heron, that is directed and written by Hayao Miyazaki. It came out in the United States finally in December, but it was already in Japan in July. Now, I do have a dedicated book review video for How Do You Live, which was the book that inspired this film. But of course, it's inspired. It's not an actual adaptation. Based on what I've heard and the stills I've seen, it's definitely way different than the book, which I think is really, really cool, and I'm looking forward to watching that in theaters, because I think it's still in theaters, and I really want to watch it with my family. And then I want to watch Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur Season 2. The first episode comes out February 2nd, I think, And I am a fan of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. It is actually an adaptation of the Marvel comics, so that does count as an adaptation. Have I read the comics? No. But I do watch the show. I love the show. So I do plan to watch season 2. And then I will be watching Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, the third and final film in the Spider-Verse trilogy. I'm looking forward, y'all. I gotta know how they're gonna end this. I gotta know. And I think it comes out late March. I think it's late March. I'm not totally sure. They might even move the date, but I'll have to look it up. Because we don't even have a trailer for it, despite it's January. So it might not come out in March. It might come out later. I just hope it is later on this year. But we'll see. That's also adaptation of, like, Marvel comics as well. So, like, it counts for this question. All right, on to the next question, because I think I'm numbering these things wrong. So the next question is, what is, like, your favorite bookish memory of last year? Now, honestly, I have a lot. Honestly, I can't really have one. It's just too hard. It's way too hard for me just to have the one bookish memory. So I'm just going to give y'all, like, my top favorites so far. So one thing for sure, though, is winning these Instagram book giveaways from Tor.com of getting The Lies of the Jungle and The Truth of Aleke. So these are the first 2 books in the Forever Desert trilogy. It's a novella series by Moses Osei-Utomi, and I really did enjoy The Lies of the Jungle, and I haven't read The Truth of Aleke yet, but it does come out March 5th, so look out for that. But yeah, I do plan to read the sequel here very, very soon. And then I also got a physical Arc of Evocation by S.D. Gibson. Like, I haven't read it yet, but I am so happy that I did get it, because it's the first book in a quartet. It's an urban fantasy romance series. There's also there's polyamory in here as well. And then also hosting reading sprints for the very first time last year. That was also really cool, because then I got to, like, learn how to, like, set up StreamYard and also set up times and stuff, and then, have a little time in the chat, and stuff. In regards to reading sprints, I specifically really enjoyed the Blackathon reading sprints, being a co-host for reading sprints as well for the Holiday Book Rush, and having my mom as a guest in November and December. That was actually really, really fun. And I definitely plan to do way more at asking people to, like, be a guest on the channel for reading sprints. So looking forward to that. And then I also met Jesse for the very first time, because we live so close to each other. So, like, it was just really cool to actually just meet in person. So hoping for more in real life friend hangouts for sure in the future. And then also, as far as final memory, honestly, is really the growth of my channel, honestly. Like, I reached 200 subscribers last year, and then I got to 300 subscribers towards the end of the year as well. Like, honestly, thank you all for subscribing to this channel. Really, truly. Like, this is truly just a hobby for me, but I just really like investing my time and energy into just making content for YouTube and Instagram, honestly. It's just fun for me just to talk about books and making videos. It's just really, really fun, and I really am glad that y'all decided to subscribe and support the channel. So thank you all, really, truly. Alright, now the very final question of this tag is, what are some carryovers from last year you still plan on finishing? Honestly, I already finished all of my carryovers. I only had one carryover from last year, and that was in Education and Malice. And I already said that was the very first book that I finished this year. So, yeah, honestly, that's literally it. I didn't have any other carryovers, which is surprising, honestly. I actually was expecting more carryovers. But anyways, yeah, that's pretty much all the questions. So thank you, Jan, again, for making a book tag like this. This was really, really fun to make. And I really do like making book tag videos. But anyways, that's really it. That's all I really have for y'all, really. So like the video if you like it, subscribe if you want to. Comment down below any of y'all's thoughts, opinions, maybe answers to any of these questions as well, if y'all have done the tag. Now, if you made this far into the video and you just want to leave me an emoji, leave me a full moon emoji, since Jan is the host of the Full Moon Book Club and the creator of the Full Moon Readathon, so why not? A full moon in honor of Jan. But anyways, thank you all for coming to this channel, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye!